Our guest this week is Lauren Chelec Cafritz. She's the founder and director of Vitality Breath and author of Breath Love. She believes that the power of breath transforms lives. She has over 20 years of experience studying, teaching, and sharing her belief in the power of the breath. Lauren facilitates breathwork retreats, conferences, and workshops across the world and leads breathwork sessions for executive teams, nonprofits, government agencies, corporations, hospitals, and schools. She also teaches online group classes and conducts virtual one-on-one coaching. Lauren is a leader in the global breathwork community. Lauren serves as the United States National Representative for the International Breathwork Foundation and is a member of the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance. She has been trained and certified in integrative breathwork, transformational breath, Reiki, and the inner domain 5-element yoga and Ayurveda. So, welcome to the show. I'm just surprised I got that last word right.
I was so impressed. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, you have a great resume, and I just think it's amazing that have a whole conversation. I didn't know there was so many avenues out there of breath. I mean, I knew about breath work, but I didn't know there was so many places who teach it. I mean, it's something that's really coming to the forefront, as we move forward in this spiritual awakening.
That's true. When I started out, it wasn't as global. There were a few avenues, and now it's just exploding. So exciting.
Yes, and how when I first met you, I know I'm a Unity member and Unity of Washington DC. I have to plug them, Unity of Washington DC, and you were a guest there, and you was having a workshop after the fellowship. But after the service, we had there was a class that was after the service, and I saw it said breathwork, and I said, well, let me check this out. And you were the facilitator for that particular workshop. And I remember you asking me, "Have you done breath work before?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have. I read this book called The Science of Breath by William Walker Atkinson, and prana." And I was just kind of throwing things out there. And you said, "Well, this probably well, you didn't really say anything about you're like, okay, I think I heard of that." But what I got from that workshop was it wasn't necessarily my experience that captured me. It was watching how others reacted. I saw it was maybe I think maybe 30 people in all that was in that workshop, maybe more. And we were all in like a U-shaped sort of how our chairs were. So I could see everyone's faces and I could see how people were breathing. And I saw people who were crying at different phases. Um, there were some people who had to sit on the floor because they were having um, some kind of breakthrough. I couldn't put words to it, but it was something that was happening, something transformative happening. And these wasn't just people crybabies. These are people who were, I would say, very strong people and did not intend to come to a workshop that focus around breath and have something transformative happen in that um, 30-minute, 1 hour workshop. I think people were already having transformational experiences 15, 20 minutes into the workshop. You came over to me and you said, and I'm like, oh, I can breathe. I'm a good breather. I've been doing this for a while. And you said to me, you're not breathing from your stomach. You're only breathing from your chest. And I went, oh, you're right. I'm not fully breathing. So it was a lot of things that I took out of that, but more so watching how it affected many in the class.
So, I mean, you said so many things that I'd love to respond to. The easiest one is when you said, I'm not breathing in my belly.
Yeah.
And, we live in the DC area, and so many people have these teeny tiny chest breaths way up here. And when the diaphragm, to take a full diaphragmatic breath from the belly all the way up to the heart, right? That's an exaggerated one.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is telling your central nervous system that you're okay. When the diaphragm's going up and down, it tells the central nervous system everything's good, and it lowers the adrenaline and the cortisol in our blood. So probably before you were breathing in your chest all the time, you probably felt a little anxious, right? A little bit of, usually people who are chest breathers have a little bit of anxiety. I was a chest breather when I started, and I had terrible anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety is, and I think I've gotten a lot better now, but I would definitely say there's been times in my life when anxiety was my middle name.
But most people don't know by shifting their breath pattern, they can also heal and strengthen their blood chemistry, which is going to allow them to feel better. Like, I love working with pediatricians because they help these young moms work with their little kids to make sure that they're belly breathing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is when a baby's born, if you look at their belly, everything is moving when they're breathing. Like their
Yeah.
pudgy arms even look like they're breathing. And then something happens and they just start breathing up here, and they don't know how to reverse it.
Yeah.
So I go to a pediatrician's office. I sometimes have a stuffed animal around. I don't have one right now. And I have them put like a Beanie Baby on the little one's belly. And I say, give it a ride up. And they breathe, and their belly goes up, and the stuffed animal goes up. And I said, okay, give it a ride down.
Mm-hmm.
And they exhale, and they start to correct their own breath pattern.
Wow. Wow. So what is breath work? For ones who maybe this may be new to them. I mean, most people are just like, I'm breathing. What's the problem? What's the issue? So what is the difference between just breathing like we normally do, throughout the day, because we're gonna die, from this other level of breathing?
So breath awareness is powerful. And I think Steve Harvey did a wellness thing, and he talked about breath work, and he called it conscious connected breathing that promotes wellness. And I've been using that ever since because it's really simple. Conscious connected breathing that promotes wellness. So conscious connected breathing. Do you remember you came to class yesterday, which was amazing?
Yeah, I want to talk all about that. Yes.
So you realize that the breath pattern that we create in a class is, and I'll use my mouth to exaggerate. Look, all day long, there's a great book by James Nestor called Breathe. And it's all about the importance of using our nose all day long when we're breathing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It helps our organs function better. It's great for our blood chemistry. It's overall healing. And yet, when we do breath work, a lot of times starting with our mouth, let me make it simple. Emotions are energy in motion. So emotions are energy in motion. When emotion gets stuck in the body, it hurts, right? So to unstick that energy, we create this powerful breath, this connected breath to move the emotion. So right now I'm going to use my mouth so you can hear me. So it's like this. And it's not that it's fast, it's a little deeper than our normal breath. The inhale is seamlessly connected to the exhale, which is seamlessly connected to the inhale. So it's this loop. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Because I've been studying breath work for some years, and not at nowhere to the level that you are. And we will get into, I wanted to ask you later about your experience. We'll get into that in just a moment about how did you come to become a breathwork facilitator. But what I want the viewers, the other listeners to understand about breath work is this level, when it was introduced to me, it was about um, there's a certain I won't say chemical, or I would say maybe a substance that is within the air that we breathe. That's just not the oxygen and the hydrogen that we're breathing. Um, there's another energy within it. Some call it prana, vital life force that's within this air that we breathe. And without it, it's sort of you can't, you wouldn't even function without it. But the little bit that we sort of breathe in, it keeps us alive, but it's nowhere near what we should be breathing in. And by introducing more of this vital life force, this prana that's in this oxygen, it actually makes us better human beings, healthier human beings, balanced in human beings, less anxiety. So that's the difference about letting more of this air, more of this prana into our systems.
So, first I'm always about, well, where are we breathing? Because that's going to affect us. Like we talked about, when you breathe from the belly to the chest on the inhale, like try it now. Just put a hand on your belly and one on your chest. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel your belly move, feel your chest move, and then let it go. And then again, breathe into your lower hand first, then upper hand, and then let it go at the side. And one more time, belly, chest, let it go through a side. Even 2 breaths of that.
Yeah, I feel a difference.
So it's a combination of where we're breathing, right? Belly, chest, and the depth of the breath. Like in this one, we really, really worked it to get to grow it. And how we exhale, how we let go. So in the DC region, I see a lot of this. People will have this little chest breath and this little, it's like exhale that's like a holding on. A really easy way to show it. Ready for this? Pull out your archery arms. You're going to pull a bow back. So your hands are together first.
Okay.
And then we're going to pull, and we're going to let go with the, right? And again, try it again.
Okay.
Do you see how it's just a,
yeah,
let go with ease?
Yeah. I can feel the difference just with that. And I saw a video of you, and you were doing some of these exercises, and I was doing them right along with you on your YouTube page. And we'll leave the link to that in the show description. And one of the things that I love that you did was this. It was like a sort of cookie monster, I think you called it.
So in a split second, I created this. It's called the Cookie Monster. We're going to breathe our arms up and bring it down with a again. One more. Awesome. You can sit down.
And I love that, because it was just so much, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed that one, because that one I think really got my energy sort of going.
Shaking the stuff off of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. So that's the thing that the breath work to me does, is it shakes off the negativity. It also relaxes you, releases anxiety.
Yeah.
And you have this wonderful story. I've heard it in some of your interviews, and you even mentioned it yesterday in the workshop we did through the Zoom call, what inspired you to become a breathwork facilitator and teacher?
Okay, so well, first let me just say this. So every
Okay.
Monday night through the Mindfulness Center, mindfulnesscenter.org, I teach a Monday night class so that anyone, because I meet people from all over the world, or I meet people on airplanes, and they, it's just a way that people know if they're going through something, they can show up on a Monday night and breathe.
Okay.
I start my classes off with warm-ups, and you're talking first about you inhale and you exhale, and then and we do these throwaways where we're really releasing on the exhale. And then with you, I think you love the Cookie Monster. Now imagine right before the pandemic in February, I got invited to go on sorry, that's like so old. I forget their two names all of a sudden. But anyway, I was invited to go on a morning show. Mm-hmm. And it was the same day I was teaching the John Hopkins Hospital here at the Washington Hospital Center. They're doctors and nurses, a breath seminar. And I couldn't miss that. So I went there. And it just so happens it was February, and then March is when everything got locked down and things happened. And I felt so blessed that I was able to share all these breathing techniques to help people with stress.
Okay.
So can you imagine 90 health professionals breathing their hands up, down with like doing the Cookie Monster?
Yeah.
And they all broke up and were laughing when they came in that day. They looked so tired and worn and whatever, and they did the Cookie Monster, and they had blood in their face, and they looked really good, like there was a flush in their skin.
Yeah.
So sound, movement, and breath, those three things, sound, movement, and breath together help us clear the clutter that stops us from taking a deep, full breath. So I always like to do some warm-ups before people lay down and do the full, 45 minutes.
Yeah. And I want to do a couple of those exercises before we, at some point in the interview, so that way people can sort of, see the work that you do, a little bit of it, and also maybe join in, So I would love to have that. So we definitely get to that. But I definitely want to get to just, try to get to the heart of it, because I think your story is so inspiring, that it shows the power of the breath. It shows that this is not just regular breathing. It's showing that this can transform, your life, your breath, and how you're breathing.
So are you asking my story of what got me to breathwork?
Yes, I want to hear your story. I have heard it in other interviews that you've given, and I just was moved by it, because imagine the people who are going through what you've been through, and how this can help them probably transform their life as well.
So my older son was 9 months old, and I couldn't turn my neck. The pain was over the top. It was like sciatica in my neck. And in my book, Breath Love, I talk more in detail about it. And so I tried anything, because I had gone to see a surgeon, and I had a 9-month-old, and they're like, well, surgery is an option. And I was like, no, it's not with a 9-month-old. So I did all sorts of meditation and yoga, anything to try to quell it, the pain. So the yoga started to work. I did like a gentle yoga. But in one of the yoga classes, I would have these rushes. And it was like this bolt of energy going through me. And I told the teacher about it. And she's like, well, I'm not sure. And so I started to panic around it. And I started getting panic attacks. So every time I got these energy rushes, it was like a panic attack. And so I asked my doctor what I should do, and she gave me Valium.
Mhm.
And so here I am with a little child and these over-the-top panic attacks and some neck pain. And so someone sent me to, a really good friend of mine, a drummer, said, please go see my breath worker. I had no idea what that was. And I'm like, I'm game.
Okay.
So he took me for this breath session, and I laid down and I started connecting my breath, and tears started streaming, and I started understanding that the pain in my neck was also, it was physical and had an emotional component.
Okay.
And I had a huge aha moment, and I sat up at the end of the session saying, why isn't everyone doing this? And immediately dove in. And so, let's see, my son was 9 months old then, and he's 26 now.
Wow.
So this has been a long, beautiful journey for me, and it's changed my life in so many ways. It has changed my family's life and my relationship to my family. And I've learned how to, not stuff emotions or expression down anymore. I've learned how to express my emotions. I've learned how to express my needs and wants. I've learned how to become my own parent, to have that enlightened parent inside that, knows how to hold that little one in us.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to binge eat or drink or, there's.
And all this through just breath work?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And do you think that through breath work, it somehow makes you more conscious, more, I know you said awareness earlier, but it somehow makes you more self-aware?
So your breath is with you 24/7, right? And the minute I go into story about anything, my husband pisses me off, or my kids say something, or I'm like, or, I can stop, stop, drop, roll, it's like, stop, breathe, gain a little distance.
Mm-hmm.
What's really being said here, like it pulls me out of reactivity and allows me to be conscious and responsive to what's happening in front of me. Right? Because otherwise we're in these habitual patterns we've been in since we're kids. We've had to create these protective layers. We haven't, whether we didn't have a good relationship with a parent or a grandparent or somebody that raised us, we have these protective ways to show up in the world. And a lot of time reactivity is how it was our first response. And so breath work allowed me to get my, chemistry in order, hear what someone's saying, and speak from my heart.
Yeah.
And it shifts things. And when you become a breath master, for me, and I've seen it over and over again with my clients, you become a life master.
Well, you're definitely a breath master. I was asking you earlier, are you a breathwork teacher or facilitator? But I wanted to say like breathwork guru, but I think breathwork master would be what I would want to call you. Because it's and I'm trying to convey over this microphone how powerful this is and how transformative it is. And whoever listens to this interview, I want you to know that how powerful the breath is. It really is. And I don't want people to just think this is regular breathing. I'm just trying to really put a key on that this is not the inhale and exhale. This is, truly transformative. There's something that in the breath, like you said earlier, that releases us, that somehow makes us more aware, healthier, more conscious beings. And to me, I'm trying to get better at making it and doing it more consistently. Because I had one time I was doing the breath where I breathe in 12 seconds in, 12 seconds out. I would kind of hold it for a couple of minutes, well, a couple of seconds, couple of minutes, a couple of seconds before I release. And I was doing it more frequently. And what I learned was I was able to hold it a little bit longer for those periods of inhaling and exhaling. But through the process, I learned that I felt better. I felt more energized after I did it.
So, well, let me go back. So first, I'm not a breath guru because I want to empower you and anyone who's doing breath work with me to become their own masters of breath, to be their own inner, pull from their own inner guru. So that's one. Two, breath work heals us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I've had some really powerful sessions where you touch something that's much greater than ourselves. And for me, that allowed me to know I'm never in this alone.
Right.
That I have the power of essence always within. So, when someone does namaste, right, you're bowing to the light within and bowing to the light in another.
Yeah.
And so, there's so many ways to talk about the spiritual power of breath. When you sing hallelujah, when you do hallelujah in church, and there's this breath, and it supposedly, as you sing it, it realigns all your chakras.
Yeah. What is the chakra?
So the chakras are like these energy centers in the body, and you feel so good when they're in alignment, right? In the Jewish religion, Ruach Elohim, if you sing that, again, it does the same thing. It aligns the chakras, and that just means breath of God. So breath of God is every time you realize you're inhaling source and you're exhaling and letting go and relaxing. So as you breathe in source and you exhale and allowing and reminding yourself that source is in every cell of our body, right? So you guys could take this super deep. And I have some people who just want to feel better. So they're really happy with the beginning warm-up exercises because, when you put your chin to your chest and you exhale and you inhale up and you keep doing a couple of those, and some of these, their breath starts to open and all that tight stuff that they've been holding to lets go, and then they're done.
Yeah.
And then there are other people like you who lay down to breathe. Yes, one, to feel better, but and to connect to something greater.
Yeah. That's what I that's the two things I get out of it is to feel better. It does release my anxieties. I think it makes me more conscious, makes me more aware. And it does, like yesterday when we were in the workshop with you yesterday, and at some point as we were doing the breathing exercises, I felt this tingling all like in my mouth, my tongue and my chin, it all began to tingle. And as we continued doing the exercises, like a full body exercise we were doing as well with the breathing, and I could feel this release in my spine, and this calm came over me towards the middle of the process. So I was just blown away by that because I've had tingling before, but the tingling is all through my mouth, my tongue, and my chin. That was something new for me.
So every breath session is different. We never know what's going to unwind and how it's going to unwind. But when you relax and trust the breath, things happen. You might twitch, you might hysterically laugh or cry, or you just don't know what you've been suppressing.
Right.
And the energy goes exactly where it needs to. So maybe you've been clenching your teeth or something,
Mm-hmm.
and the energy just had to go to your jaw and mouth area to release there.
Mm-hmm.
I had a client that came for a session, and he came because of anxiety. And halfway through the session, he sits up and he looks at me and he goes, I've had back pain for 30 years.
Mm.
Where did it go? During the breath session, a 30-year-old back pain just went.
Wow.
You just don't know what you're going to release.
Mm-hmm.
Some people hold pains in their body because it lets them hold on to a loved one they lost.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know what pain, why and what. And when you do
Mm-hmm.
breath work, you're just letting go and trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And the breath just can send the energy where it's needed. And these miracles happen. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. It really is. And I was at the there was years ago and I'm mentioning it again, but at Unity, doing that workshop, you mentioned there was a client of yours who was a sportsman. I think it was football he was playing, I believe.
The young soccer star.
Soccer star, okay. And he was running into some difficulties. I think with anxiety, if not mistaken, or
Well,
anger.
for him, there was a little of that, but there was a big dose of self-anger.
Mm-hmm.
He'd lose the ball, he would get so angry and upset at himself that he couldn't get the ball back. So he came to me to heal that thing that he did, that self-judgment, that self-anger. And so
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, what does it feel like in your body when you're that tight? And he said, it's hot and it's wiry. So I said, okay, so the next time you lose the ball, I want you, and we're going to do this now. So I had him close his eyes, have the situation come up in his head, of running down the field. He's about to kick the ball and it's stolen from him. And I said, how do you feel? And he's like, hot and wiry. And I'm like, okay, breathe with the hot and wiry. Don't just embrace it. Just stay with it. So I'm like, do you feel it? And he's like, yes. And so he's breathing. And he's breathing with it. And he's breathing with it. And he said, it went. And I said, is it easier to breathe with the sensation of hot and wiry? Or is it easier to breathe with, and I think he used to say something like, I suck. I can't believe I lost that. He would really be hard on himself.
Mm-hmm.
I said, which one is it easier to breathe with? And he said, hot and wiry. So I said, okay, because he was going to Brazil for a game down in Brazil. And I said, the minute you lose it, just feel for the hot and wiry and breathe. And so he did. He went down to Brazil. He lost the ball. He felt that sensation. He breathed with it. He quickly was able to turn and get out of it. And he got the ball back. And then I didn't see him again.
I think there's some people who could definitely benefit from that, especially some athletes right now in the news who could definitely benefit from that. I need to give them your name. Like, you need to talk to Lauren.
That's what I'm here for.
Because that's can be very powerful for people, especially when you're in high. Sometimes any job can be very stressful. But sometimes there are jobs that are very high profile, and it affects so many people that you feel like you can't fail. And I think this is one of the secrets, that people don't know about, that could really benefit from it. So I'm so happy to introduce that to new people about breath work.
I mean, look, you're one of the amazing ones who, when they like something, look what you do for a living. You get out and you share it with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I get to teach doctors, or when I get to teach teachers, like I worked in a school and I got to work with the teachers, and then they brought it to their students. So the very first class in the morning, they would have the kids take 10 conscious breaths. before they
Wow.
started writing or learning or anything,
Hmm.
because they might have heard their parents fight that morning, or they skipped breakfast, or they weren't feeling their best, right? And so you take 10 conscious breaths. By the 10th breath, you're here, you're aligned, you've let go a little bit, you can. And also, when you're just breathing without thinking about breathing, your amygdala is lit up, the primitive part of the brain,
Mm.
where you want to stay small and sane. It's the area that keeps you safe. But when you're in school, or if you're in a creative thing or in a sports thing, you want to use the prefrontal cortex, the higher reasoning part of the brain. And so they've wired people up, and they've seen that as they take these conscious breaths, the prefrontal cortex lights up.
Lights up.
So I love teaching teachers so they can share it with their students. And then one school had me then work with their teachers, then their sixth graders, and then their parents. And it was so exciting.
Yeah, that does sound exciting, because to me, I think if my parents knew this, how different my life would be. In terms of just, I think I always sort of, I won't say envy would be the right word, but when your parents know these things and they're able to teach you these things, how what a blessing that is. But to have your mom and dad or your parents there with you learning these, that would be such an awesome thing. So I think that's amazing that you get to usher that in to the parents and the child, is to have that experience. That's just, to me, is just amazing to me.
Well, the thing is, it goes both ways. So I have a client who brought me into their family. I worked with 4 of them at one time. And the parents really just wanted the kids to get it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the parent came back to me with a story that he came back one day and he just was gruffy and whatever. And his child grabbed his hand and made him come to the sofa with her. And she got him to breathe.
Mm.
And the same child, a second story I heard is she had a stomach ache and they wanted to give her like an antacid or something. And she said, no, I'm pulling breath out. And she sat on the sofa and she breathed into her belly and her stomach ache went away.
Wow.
So these little ones are brilliant. And when they find something that works for them, they just get it and they start to do it. And it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would love to watch a preschoolers do the Cookie Monks exercise. I know that would be just be I knew that they would just love that. I don't know if you have done that. I'm quite sure you have with very young, and they're probably the best at it, to do the Cookie Monks exercise.
They're amazing because they can just get it out of their bodies really fast.
Yeah.
We have to like a little more built up on us.
Or we feel silly doing it or whatever. But to watch a child do it, I know it's just hilarious. I mean, I watch little kids sometimes, and I'm like, I try to bring that back, that childlike sort of being, and I try to bring that back. It takes a little bit more. You got to get there.
But then that's when we're happiest, like when we're playful, or we're dancing, or we're laughing with a friend, or we're painting wildly, or whatever. That being in touch with the healed child in us is when we can fully breathe. It's when we can like get outside of our comfort zone and do things that are exciting and bring us joy, right?
Right.
So that's so cool that you know enough to like spend time getting to that space. That's huge.
Yes. Well, I did want to, bring back that energy where, try to remind myself that, hey, you gotta do it, and you gotta have fun doing it. You gotta let your guard down, be willing to do something different, because the effects of it, to me, from my experiences doing breath work, I've noticed it. I feel the tingling. I feel the release of anxiety. I feel myself in a different, being different, feeling different.
Yeah.
Just by doing breath work. So, and if I was probably more consistent with it, I probably would be, way even better, way better. So I'm trying to get more, maybe with your help, I can get more consistent with it. Because I felt like yesterday, I felt like after we did our exercises yesterday, I feel like, oh my God, I got to do this all the time. I got to do it every Monday. You know, it's almost addicting, but it's great to have someone there to walk you through it. That's the part that I need. I feel much better when I'm with someone doing it than just, you know, I got to do this myself Monday. You know, I enjoyed how um you talked us through the process, you know, and also played music. So I felt like I wasn't alone. I wasn't by myself. I was being guided through the process.
So for me, I get up in the morning and I have Spotify, and I have some lists. If you go to Chelec Cafritz on Spotify, you'll see a bunch of my music there. And sometimes I breathe to my music, sometimes I breathe to other people's music, and I just sometimes, like, African drum beats are amazing. I put some on Monday nights. I don't know if you noticed, and they're really good to breathe to. And so I'll just give myself 20 minutes of breathing in the morning, and I feel so energized by the time I'm done. I don't need coffee. I hop in the shower. I go on my.
I'm trying to get there with the coffee, you know.
Well, it takes some time, but it comes. Like, it's, you know, when you get your breath open, when you release all, it takes a lot of energy to hold all that stuffed emotion down.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. And so they eat it or drink it or whatevering it because they don't want to feel it. Mm-hmm. But once you do breath work and you learn to feel it fully, and you know it's not going to knock you out, then you can bring it up. It just naturally comes up in a breath session. You breathe it, you feel it, it gets integrated and it moves. And that's when the tingling comes. That's when the vibration comes. That's when you feel energized and clear and just great. And so with breath work, we lose our fear of feeling, right? If you do that, you're not
losing the fear of feeling.
Yeah. And you have this extra energy to whatever it is that you want to go do. If it's, I mean, for me, it was painting. I was always like, oh, I'm not good enough, la, 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 whatever the story was. And doing some breathing and just coming in front of that blank canvas, I put some music on, I take some breaths, and I just go, you know. And some people are like, oh, I just wish I could get out and walk every day. Well, they put on some earbuds and they start to breathe, and then they get out the front door and they listen to some good music and take some conscious breaths as they're walking around. Before they know it, they've done a mile or 3 blocks or anything more than what they've been doing. It takes this fear away, and it allows us to have courage and love. Yeah.
That, to me, that's so important to say that, and people, you know, probably can't make the connection about, how can breathing help me have less fear, love more? But I'm saying, like, yes, your breath is connected to your ability to love, to be more courageous.
It's okay. We get to just breathe with what is.
Yeah. So can we do some exercises now?
Yeah, sure. So, like, for me, maybe it's easier to stay seated because I don't know if I can stand up with everybody or sit down, but what do you think?
So I do have a green screen behind me, so I'm not sure if it will mess anything up or not, but let's see.
All right, well, let's just start with easy ones. So you could do cactus arms, or goalpost arms. Let's go into football here.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to inhale and twist one direction.
Okay.
And then exhale the other. And inhale. And exhale. 2 more. And 1 more. And come neutral. And close your eyes and breathe with your nose and just feel. You just might feel a little bit of energy in your face or a little tingle in your hands.
Yeah, I feel it in my throat. And I don't know if we explained, but what we were just doing for the ones who are on the podcast, you can go to YouTube and I have a link in there if you want to actually see us. But on the podcast, we're actually having our hands up, sort of, I wouldn't say up like the guy who's in the NFL who's, sort of doing the the
Touchdown.
ball, yeah, touchdown. We're not sort of doing, our hands are sort of at our tip of our fingers are sort of at our head level, the top of our head level. Sort of like you're making a U shape with your hands. So that's where our hands are, and our hands are facing forward and up. So, and then what we're doing is, and we're sitting down as we're doing this, and we're moving to our left. And as we move to our left, we are actually breathing in, inhaling. And then as we move to our right, we're exhaling. And I'm spelling that correctly?
You're doing beautifully.
So every time I move to my left, I am inhaling, and when I move to my right, I am exhaling.
And what he's doing is he's just opening up,
Yes.
opening the waist up. If there's tightness there, it's hard to breathe. Here's a really easy one. Let's open the shoulders. So we're going to inhale our shoulders up. Exhale back and around. So inhale up. Exhale back and around. That's it. Make a little sound with the exhale. And in. And back and around. And close your eyes and feel it again.
And I feel that in my back muscles, my upper back muscles. I feel it in my upper chest muscles, whatever that's called, upper chest, near my clavicle. I feel it there. And so there's a release or a coolness that I feel when I lift my shoulders up as I inhale and I exhale, and then I'm releasing that tension as I bring my shoulders down and exhale. I think I'm putting that correctly.
It's beautiful. I need you to come teach every Monday night with me.
Yeah, I would love that.
that.
I would love that, because I know you have some wonderful experiences. I mean, just in the class that I was in, even yesterday, even though many people didn't, you didn't request us to talk, but you did ask us if you wanted to say something, we could. And, me and someone else talked about what we were feeling and some of the experiences that we had after the exercises, the breathing exercises. But even when I looked at the faces that were on the Zoom call, I could tell there was a different energy there. I could tell there was a calmness there that wasn't there before. So I wasn't surprised, but it was great to see the faces of individuals and see the calmness that they had.
There was more wattage in their smiles. There was a more calm. Yeah. So at the beginning of the breath session, the things that we're doing now, these are the warm-ups. We also, another easy one is you turn your head to one side and then you roll your neck, you come down and around, which might be hard to see on the podcast, but as you inhale, you're doing these half moons. You're bringing your chin to your chest. You're rolling your head as you're exhaling. And then you inhale the other direction. And just getting as we're breathing and moving, we're releasing, we're opening. And so by the time we do all that, and then people lay down to do the breath session piece, you're already cleared of a bunch of clutter. And then the breath session can take you to a deeper place, which is always amazing.
Yes.
And I think you asked me when I first spoke with you, I think before you took last night's class, you said to me, these strong women at Unity, They don't boo-hoo, I think is the way you put it.
No, they're not criers. They're strong women.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
strong women need to cry. We need to release. And so they felt so held by the breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what maybe they felt very held by whatever clearings I've given myself,
Mm-hmm.
that they could relax and trust the breath. And then the
Mm-hmm.
breath just let them let go of a whole bunch of stuff that they felt safe letting go of.
Mm-hmm.
Which means
And
they had more wattage to, go out and do all the things that they do in this world.
exactly, I felt, and it wasn't like they were just sitting there, no tears. I mean, they were, they were like boo-hoo crying, right? I mean, and what I got from that was there was a release that they hadn't somehow through the breathing. They were able to release these emotions that they were being held, because when you, like you were saying earlier, when you're mad, when you're frustrated, you have anxiety, you're all these things, you hold it up, like you hold your breath in, and then when you finally are deep, having these breaths and deeply breathing in, so those emotions that are tied in with holding your breath are now released. And I felt like it was something that was released, broken, so that they could let that go. And I felt like there was something that they were able to let go during that moment, and that was the tears. That was the breakthrough that they were having in that moment.
So we've created intentions in class. I love creating intentions.
Yes.
And, like some people would say, I'm confident or I'm peaceful. You're creating an intention for something that you want more of in your life, something's a little bit of a reach, and so because when you bring those intentions in and you have the breath, you can let go a little bit more and release more. And so your intention was so beautiful, right?
Yes, I have it written down, and I was complaining about something, and actually I have my moments. I have anxieties. I get overwhelmed, and one of the things that came up for me was in my moment of being overwhelmed by all the things I have to do. And sometimes, you're looking for the right person to help you, and sometimes like, I gotta find the right people, and where are they? And but what the affirmation or the aphorism or mantra, the intention that I had written down that you helped me establish in yesterday's class before we start the breathing exercises was, I wrote down, I said it first and then I wrote it down. I'm getting it all done with ease.
Mm.
And when I said that, I could feel that anxiety being released. And when I woke up this morning, it came to me again. I'm getting it all done with ease. And even though I still got a lot of work to do, and I have work to do when people haven't come yet to help me with it, but I felt like they're on their way. I could feel it, like they're on their way. I'm going to have this help, and it's going to be this ease along with it, and just that intention, just saying it, allowed me to feel that way.
So
Pretty
words
powerful.
are powerful. Words help us let go enough to be able to take in a little more breath. And I was thinking about those strong women you were talking about. And one of the intentions I bring in and breathe in occasionally is, I'm soft and vulnerable. Because it allows me to remember that, yes, I may be strong, and yet I'm also soft and vulnerable. And so how beautiful that these very strong women were able to get in touch with their vulnerability and allow themselves to feel and heal. Because it takes a vulnerable person. It's very vulnerable to feel and heal.
Yeah, it does. But what other ways to get a hold of you, and what are some other projects that you're working on?
So they can reach me at lauren@vitality.breath.life. And they can also, there's an info button on the vitality.breath.life, so they can reach me there.
Hmm.
I'm taking people to Sedona for a breath retreat.
Wow.
I'm doing a fundraiser with my friend who owns Bar 3, Juliana, September 19th. I was just going to look for that date. Yes, September 19th
Yep.
from 8 to 10 in the morning.
Be sure to
Here
send me
in
the
the
link to
DC
that.
area.
Can people sign up for that
Yes,
now?
yes,
Okay.
they can sign. I mean, I don't think the sign up button's on quite yet, but it will be soon. Keep checking vitality.breath.life and you will see a sign up button. It's a fundraiser for Doctors Without Borders, to help out in Haiti and help the Afghani refugees right now. And what else is going on? There's more. I just
Well, just send me the links, and I'll have them in the show descriptions. Because I mean, a trip to Sedona, I mean, that sounds exciting to me.
I know. Well, that at this moment, I have 2 spaces left to come to Sedona.
Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
Just 2 seats, folks.
So that's October 2nd through 8th. And next year, I'm starting to train people to become breath workers.
Wow.
So I'm starting a breathwork school. And so it's an exciting time for me. I'm, getting outside my comfort zone, and I've been doing this for a very long time. And I'm very excited to teach others to go teach,
Yeah, that to me. Yeah, you're a breathwork master. I don't care what you say. You are, and you need to just hone that in, accept it, take it. And so I definitely want to have you on the future to talk more about once you get your school up and running, and how to become a member, how to become a student, how to take classes. I'm currently, and I signed up for 4 of your breathwork classes, workshops, and I'll have in the link how to also take part in that as well. Could you talk a little bit about that? About how can people take a part in that particular workshop?
So every Monday night I teach a class, a breathwork class. It's from 7:15 to 8:30 Eastern time. And they can sign up through the mindfulnesscenter.org. You just click on classes and you look under 7:15 and you see Lauren Chelec Cafritz breath. You just click there, and that's the way you sign up. And then they send you a link that comes about a half hour before the class, and you click on the link and you're right in the Zoom, and we get people from all over. I never know who's going to show, and it's really fun to see.
Wow.
And it was really fun to see you Monday night in there.
Yeah. I was excited as well, because I was looking forward, because I signed up earlier, but my birthday was the 16th. Happy birthday to me, everybody! And so I showed up this week, and I have 3 more sessions before I sign up again, because I definitely want to make it something that I want to make it consistent. I don't want to start this process and then stop. Because I've been I've been doing breath work. I just haven't been consistent with it. And in this phase, I want to be consistent with it. And it's great to have someone guide you through it, to show you how to do it. It's a different process. And trust me, and I can speak to you from my experience, that I have seen the results of breath work. I know the power in it, and we haven't even scratched the surface yet of in this conversation hasn't even scratched the surface of breath work. But what I can say at this particular point for this conversation, it will bring you health, vitality, and energy. And that's for me, from my experience, is something that I have gotten out of it. And that's not even doing it consistently. Imagine what I could, what the consistency of having consistency with it, what I'm able to do. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I am so grateful for you, DJ, and the light that you put out in the world. You're a blessing, and I feel honored that you wanted to talk with me today, and that you trust me, and that you're getting the beautiful benefits you are from breathwork. And it's easy to talk with you because I got them too. I feel so grateful that my friend took me to my first breath session, and I'm always grateful to all those who get it and want to share it. And you're one of those lights. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you too. Yes. Well, I'm glad to have you on. And for the listeners out there, I'll have all the information for Lauren, how to get in touch with her, and any questions you want to ask. So you can have her email address, and please, respond. If you have any questions, we're here to make you a healthier, happier person. The resources out there, just that you have to be brave enough and courageous enough to take advantage of all those opportunities that are out there. So I want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you so much to Lauren, and join us again for What's Up with DJ. And thank you for listening.